A very warm good afternoon to everyone. Welcome to this session. At the onset, I would like to thank each one of you for taking time out on a working day. And today, while our very own Director of Operations at CloudThing India, Vedha, would speak about the cloud as a technology and all the good things and wonderful things we can achieve with cloud, allow me a small moment to just tell you about what CloudThing is as an organization and the kind of innovative work we are doing. Um, As you all can see, we started almost more than 7 years back, and CloudThing was started by a team of stalwarts in the industry to deliver a measurable business performance, business transformation to our customers through cloud technologies. As some of you might know, CloudThing works predominantly with clients which are in the area, which are membership organizations, various NGOs, government and semi-government bodies. As you can see, we started with Tute.com in 2012, and which was our first globally scalable cloud-based production. And in the very next year, we delivered our first Dynamics-based project for a leading foster care agency in the UK. In many terms, 2015 has been the year that is of many firsts for us, real transformative year for CloudThing. That year, not only we signed customers across the lines, clients like Comic Relief, ICAEW, Metropolitan Police Department itself, and we started using Azure as a standard platform for delivering new projects that year. We also got our gold certification from Microsoft in 2016, predominantly due to our capabilities in building large-scale projects using Dynamics and Power Platform. Today, we serve our customers across spectrum with almost more than 100 projects. Again, we were awarded for that last year in UK, where we were among the fastest 100 tech companies, and also we were awarded for our capabilities in DevOps and the Azure world. This year, with which has been a lot about growth and sustenance coexisting together, we are doing re-platformation of future theory to test delivery onto Dynamics and Power Platform for one of our clients, and many more that we are delivering right now. While we are running the race this year, we do ensure that our strength does not dilute, and we are here for the long run. These are some of the logos that you can see, wherein the kind of customers we are working with. Few of the names I already spoke. Few of the names you might have heard of. Some of the big small name across membership organizations, NGOs, and government and semi-government bodies. So these are the customers and today that we support using cloud, using Microsoft technologies for digital transformation and product development across the spectrum. That is in a nutshell what I wanted to introduce CloudThing to. However, if I go about speaking, probably I'll need one more session on myself. So not taking time away from what Vedha has to talk about the technology, I'll hand it over to you, Vedha.
Right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Kanaya. And welcome everybody to this session regarding cloud technologies. Let's today chat a little bit about how you can leverage cloud technologies to make your product or business perform better and be really cost effective. Before that, I just want to understand where we are in this audience, what our technical capabilities are, because I am somebody who has worked a lot in technology, so sometimes I go from business speak to geek speak pretty quickly, and I want to make sure that I adapt my presentation so that you get the most from it. What I would like you all to do is to go to the site called menti.com, type in the code 741104 right now, and take a quick poll regarding your technical capabilities so that I can tailor what I'm about to talk about in keeping in line with the audience that we have here. If you are having any issues going to that site and taking a look at the poll that I have put forth there, just let me know. We'll give about half a minute for everybody to go take this poll. Again, it's menti.com and the code is 741104. Right. Okay. I am going to move on from the poll, but it's very clear that about 70% of those who have taken the poll have said that you are a techie, but you are new to cloud. And there are quite a few who have said that cloud is my home. So we'll try and see if we can keep a balance between keeping this session technical, but also a light on taking you through the cloud technologies. Okay, right. Thank you so much for taking the poll. I also want to keep the session very interactive, guys. Therefore, I would like you to keep engaging with me using the chat box, even if you're not able to ask the question yourself. And I will try and respond to your queries after each module that I have completed. So let's jump straight on into the session today. A lot of people talk about cloud computing, and when talking about cloud computing, people generally imagine that it's the same website or database model that you have in a non-cloud environment, moved as is and hosted in a cloud-based VM. Maybe that is true. That is not the only capability that cloud has to offer. We are also all used to having one server with many components installed on it, which is sharing its resources like multiple website, probably a service that is running, etc. We also think that we can continue to develop application the way we are, but just move them all into cloud and say that we are doing cloud computing. But that's not all what cloud is about. It's not even close. Cloud computing is a paradigm shift in the way that allows you to decouple each module of your application into discrete components, host them individually, and scale them separately, therefore maximizing your efficiency and reducing your operating cost. Okay, there was a lot of things said there. Scale them individually, maximizing efficiency, lot of promises in one sentence. What does that even mean? And that's what we are going to find out in today's session. Okay, and just going through the agenda a little bit regarding what we are going to cover and what we won't. I don't know about you guys, but when we talk about theoretical concepts, I kind of tend to tune out, and I don't even pay attention after a while. But if I'm given an example with the example problem, and then I start to explain concepts, it sticks with me. So that's what we are going to do here. We're going to take a sample application and see how it can be made better by using some of the cloud technologies available to us. I'm keeping in line with the poll that we just ran. I'm going to keep it a little bit at a high level. I will not be actually going into code territory. We are not going to show that. Maybe we can leave that out for a different webinar session. What instead we'll be doing is showing a problem and then proposing a design, architectural design solution for that using cloud technology, and see what alternatives that are available to us, and we'll be understanding how that helps us maximize performance, etc. If we have time available, we will also talk into a little bit about the cost efficiency, etc. Most of the time I have worked with Microsoft Azure, and therefore all my conversations today are going to be Azure based, but where appropriate, I will also name the alternatives from AWS and G Cloud. But I will not be comparing their tech stack, or there are slight differences, but I will leave that out as a personal project for you guys to go and Google and find out. find out. And as we go along, and I introduced you to cloud-based alternatives for some scenarios, we'll also cover why it is better than the regular implementation that you normally do, both performance-wise and cost-wise, so that you can see the benefit. But I will not be delving deeper into a cost-based analysis. There's already a great tool that Microsoft has provided, which tells you about how to calculate cost for cloud-based solution. It's called a pricing calculator. You can Google that up. Okay, with that big prologue, let's go into our example. Right. I want to create a new e-commerce site. Okay, it's a bouquet aggregator site. Okay, think of it as Amazon or Flipkart or even Myntra, but it's only selling flowers. Okay, there are so many small shops across you in most of the metro cities which are selling beautiful bouquets, but they don't have the ability to showcase their products, take online orders, and use reliable delivery mechanism. So I have come up with this concept called makemyflowers.com, which is an e-commerce website that allows sellers to add in their products, take order, process them, and deliver them. It's totally my idea, so don't nick it just because I have told it out loud to you guys. Okay, so think of this, we could have thousands of sellers in the system, just like how Amazon has. Okay, we could have millions of bouquets to choose from and hundreds and thousands of orders to process. Okay, now I come to you to create this e-commerce solution for me. Okay, now this is where I like interactivity. So what do you think, infrastructure wise, to create and run such a product? What do you think we would need? Please use the chat to you know specify your answers. It's a e-commerce site like Amazon or Flipkart or Myntra. And yeah, we'll need a database. Thank you, Kuldeep. That's right. Anybody else? What else do we need? There's no wrong answers, guys. Come on. The more interactive your cache, okay? Yes, that is true. And for those of you who don't know what cache is, it caches probably the products and shows it to others pretty quickly rather than to go back and pick it up from the database. We need to host the services, right, Rohit? Storage, okay, LAMP stack server, okay, great, all great answers. Okay, really it when you say LAMP stack server, what you basically mean is a means for you to host the website so that it can be viewable by others. Okay, right, this is great. These are the infrastructure. So now in terms of talking about how much this is going to affect our performance, we are going to start off with a particular problem statement. Okay, you have the website, which means that I'm going to come and choose the bouquets that I want, and I'm going to order them. That's what you want to do when you have such a website. So I go in there, I choose a bouquet, and I have ordered them. Okay, now it's in my cart, I have paid for it, I have placed the order, and I have made the payment. The payment is successful. Now what is the next step that I need to do? I need to send the details that such and such bouquet or bouquets need to be sent to the customer. This order is received and we need to send it to the seller and tell them that fulfill this order. Okay, how would we normally do it in this scenario? Okay, I made an order, now I want to tell my seller that such an order has been received. What would you do? Again, use the chat bot. What would you do? Okay, I've added bouquets to my cart. Okay, and I have made my payment. I have the payment is successful. Now I need to send this details to the seller. What do I need to do? Okay, everybody is very quiet, so I'm going to answer it myself for the sake of, send out an email. That is very great. That's a good idea. Okay, so now all the details that I want to send in my email, and thank you, Arun, for being so proactive and sending this answer. I put all of the details. That's absolutely right. I take the order details. I tell this is the customer, this is their address, this is the bouquet that they want. I even attach an image of the bouquet saying this is what they wanted, add in all the details of how to customize the bouquet, and then send out an email to the seller. Okay. Now, consider this scenario. The email fails for whatever reason. Would that mean that your order processing is stopped? What happens if the email fails? What is the recovery mechanism here? Okay. And not only that, apart from sending the order to the seller, sometimes when an order is placed, the seller wants the payment for that order ahead of time. Okay. And so you want to send the details of this order to your finance department so that they can process sending out the money to the seller, which will ensure that they make the bouquet and send it to you. Now, it's not only one communication, you have two communication in here, one to the seller and one to your finance department. Okay, irrespective of what is successful or what fails, you as an user still want to make sure that the order is successful. Okay, when you say checkout and the checkout is done, you don't care about internally what happens and how it is notified to the seller, how it is sent to the finance, none of that. You only want to know, okay, your order processing has been successful and you will be receiving the order, and that too pretty quickly. We are living in this fast environment where everything needs to happen quite quickly. So you're not going to wait around until all of this is done and then a message comes back and tells you, yes, this is successful. Okay, and if there was some error, you want the website to deal with that on your own. So what do you have to do? And especially if you think of large orders, many millions of people ordering, you don't want your system to be slowed down by that. Okay, so that is where this concept of Azure Service Bus comes into picture. I'm just going to move a little bit and zoom into this a little bit. Hang on. Right. So what is an Azure Service Bus? Okay, if you have ever learned about queue, then you will know that that's what is an Azure Service Bus is. Every time you want to send somebody else some information about another component to another component or application, then you drop a message here. Each message is picked up by a subscriber in the order in which it is sent. That's what a queue is, right? Even at peak time, the Azure Service Bus can hold all of the messages so that it can be taken and processed separately. Okay, so irrespective of whether you are during your lean period or you're during your peak time, none of the orders are dropped and all of the messages goes into this messaging service and is left to be processed individually. Okay, so the I told you I will also do some name dropping from other cloud service providers. Just like how there is Azure Service Bus, there is also an AWS equivalent called Amazon MQ and a G Cloud equivalent called Google Pub Sub. Okay, so let's come back to our scenario. What I'm proposing is that when we have done the ordering, a message is dropped into the Azure Service Bus. Okay, and when you use an Azure Service Bus, there is something called as a subscription. You can subscribe to a topic. say let's call our topic as order processing or bouquet order, whatever you want to do. Okay, and then you can have a subscription to update the seller that the order has been processed, and to update your finance department that the order has been processed. Okay, and you can have separate function apps that listen to these and then act on that. Okay, when I have made a bouquet booking, a message goes into Azure Service Bus saying that this is the order detail, this is the customer, this is their address, this is their customization, and this is the amount that they have paid. And that goes, when it goes in as a message, as soon as it lands, the function apps take that up and starts processing them and send it as an email, or if the seller has their own website or some other service, it is sent as a message to that. And similarly to your finance department, if there is a separate service that processes all sending the payment, it is sent to your finance department as well. Okay, so this is a great model. You can have a backfill of messages and these can be processed on their own speed. But what have we done here? We understand that the person who is making the order does not see that. For them, immediately there is a response that is sent back saying, yes, your order has been successful and is being processed. But we have introduced two new infrastructure here. You said that there will be a database. You said that there will be an infrastructure to host the website, but there was nothing about these functions and different infrastructures. Haven't we increased the cost here? That is a really good question. But when you use such functionality, and also this Azure Service Bus itself is also an cost added onto that. Okay, but what you need to know here is these functions are only built on the usage and running time. Okay, whenever there is something to be processed and your functions are running, that is the duration for which you will be billed. If your bouquet service is going through a lean period, then your cost also goes down because you're not processing a lot of orders. Okay, and if there is a lot of time, a lot of orders that are coming in, Raki is just down the road, and a lot of people are ordering bouquets to send it to their sisters, then you can even have as many functions as possible behind a load balancer, having load balanced so that it can provide you automatically better capacity. That's what the cloud benefits that you get. Okay, so does this make sense? We have discussed about a few concepts here: the ability to use Azure Service Bus, and the ability to listen to the messages that get dropped in there, and also the ability to process them using function app. Any questions about this before I move on to the next example? Okay, I take it that everybody was very clear on that. That's really great. Thank you, guys. Now let's move on to another a little bit of functionality here. Okay, so we spoke about order processing. Now we are on to the seller has been notified of the bouquet order. Okay, and they have finished making the bouquet with all of your customizations, and now they have shipped the order. What you want to do is you want to get notified. You want to it's really incredible, isn't it? We want to be notified with an SMS message. We want an email coming in saying that it's been shipped. If there is a possibility, we also want a WhatsApp. We want an automated call telling us it's been shipped. I don't know why we all want to be notified so much, but we do. It's really nice to see, oh yay, my bouquet is processed. Okay, right. So that we want to get notified. The next one is it's en route, it's being delivered, the delivery person is coming to your door. Okay, then also we want to get notified that he's there, he's 5 minutes away. And then when he comes to your door and he has delivered, you want to get another message saying that it's been delivered and the order is now complete. Okay, so again, let's go for few options here. How would you do that? There are various ways of getting notification. Each time there is a change in status, you want to implement the ability to notify. So tell me, how would you do this? What would be your preferable implementation of doing this? Again, no wrong answers, guys. Go for it. Signalar, excellent. For those of you who don't know what Signalar is, it's a way for notifying, listening to these notifications and getting notified. The only thing is Signalar can be used only when you have your, you know, um, uh, application open or something is listening to it, otherwise you won't get notified. You can send location, you can track location of order. Yeah, all of that are possible. Okay, but how do we actually implement it? Okay, even with respect to Signalar, how do we actually do the notification? Okay, so I'm going to introduce you to another concept here. Okay, and let me zoom in on that a little bit. Right, it's called the event grid. Okay, event grid is like a single point wherein you can listen to changes in statuses or changes for or any event that is happening. Okay, think of it as one single point in your college group or in your circle, a person who you say, hey, exams have been cancelled, and he then immediately tells everybody, hey, did you know exams have been cancelled? Did you know exams have been cancelled? Did you know? So that is what an event grid is, a single point which whenever there is a change in an event, notifies everybody that something has happened. Okay, and just like how you had in Azure Service Bus, in event grid also you have an event grid topic. Okay, let's call it order status change or order status update. Okay, and you can have multiple people subscribing to that topic. Okay, you wanted an email, that can be an email subscription. You want an SMS, that can be an SMS subscription. You want a call, you want a WhatsApp, they all subscribe to this. Okay, and let's say that the order has been shipped, then as soon as that change happens, this event grid will notify that this particular order has been changed from status ordered to status shipped. Okay, and immediately all of these listeners will get notified that something has happened. Okay, and you can also use the same function app from previous topic that we discussed to either send out an email or an SMS or make a call, etc. Instead, we are going to look at another concept called the previously it was called the Microsoft Flow. Now it is called Power Automate, where you can set it up to receive this event change and send out an email or an SMS or make an automated call or send out a WhatsApp using WhatsApp API. Okay, so why are we using something called as this Power Automate? Why can't we just write a code? The reason we use this Power Automate is because it's a GUI-based drag and drop mechanism, and even for the most non-technical person like Kanaya, can take this in and can make a change. It's a very intuitive way of doing this, where you can say when order status changed to shipped, then send out an email to this customer email ID, and this is the text I want, and you can customize the text. Okay, so this is probably can be managed and modified by even a layman. For example, right now nobody is sending out orders and coming to your doorstep and delivering it. They want to leave it with security, so they can quickly go and change the message. Previously, if it used to say, oh, your order is there and it will be delivered to your door by 5 p.m., instead now you want to say your order is processed and it will be delivered to your security or outside your doorstep for contactless. And if you want to change the text, it's quite simple here, and anybody can go and make the change. Okay, so again, couple of new concepts that I have introduced here. One is the event grid, okay, which whose equivalent in AWS is Event Bridge, and its G-Cloud equivalent is also PubSub. Okay, and for Power Automate, its AWS equivalent is AppFlow. I haven't found a G-Cloud equivalent for Power Automate, but if you guys know, do let me know. Okay, so this seems very similar to the previous concept that we saw, that is the Azure Service Bus also takes in messages and then sends out messages to whoever is subscribing to it. And the Event Grid also takes in messages and it notifies people of this event. So what is the difference between the two? The difference is kind of subtle and in the way that it can be used for different scenarios. Okay, in Azure Service Bus, you can have a lot of information in the message. If you remember the previous example, we had the order details, the address to which it needs to be delivered, the price and everything, and all of this goes into the message. Okay, but in case of Event Grid, the amount of information that you pass is slightly lesser. You just have to give the relevant information, like the order itself and the customer, but and what status change it is, but not a large bulky information in there. Okay, and the Azure Service Bus, you can control when the message goes in, and people can pull the message out of the queue. Okay, in Event Grid, it's slightly different. As soon as a change happens, it's reactive. It immediately listens to the event change. In fact, in this scenario, you don't even have to put a message if you're storing it in a database, and there is a status column, and you say on change of the status, immediately notify. It will, as soon as the status changes in the database, the Event Grid can be set up to immediately pick it up and send the necessary information. So it's very reactive in that manner, and it automatically pushes the information. Okay, both Azure Service Bus and Event Grid have a lot of fallback mechanism. In Azure Service Bus, if a message fails, then it goes into dead letter. You can also set it up to notify somebody that something has failed, and it can go into dead letter. Similarly, in Event Grid also, there are so many listeners, and let's say it never happens, but let's say WhatsApp API has gone down, and therefore you're not able to send out a WhatsApp message, and therefore your Power Automate fails. Then the Event Grid will keep trying to send the message back automatically. You can set it up like that. So it will continue to send the message back, and it will, if it was set to send the message back in a minute, the next time it will slow down a bit and try to send the message again after 2 minutes, after 5 minutes. So it can be progressively falling back on its approach, and it will keep on trying to deliver that message for a period of 24 hours. So all of these fallback mechanisms are available for you already pre-built. Why would you want to reinvent the wheel, right? Okay, so any questions regarding these two concepts before we go into a little bit more technical stuff? And this will need a lot more of your concentration because we are going to wade into deep database modeling scenario. Any questions about these concepts that I have introduced you so far? Excellent. No questions. I don't know if there are no questions or if I have bored you guys. Thanks, Arun. I really like that you keep sending messages. You've said it's good so far. So thank you so much for that. Okay, that makes me feel better. Right. Okay. Now, so if you have not been paying a lot of attention so far and you think that, oh, these are all too high level, time to start focusing again, because I'm going to, like I said, going to data modeling and those kind of territory, and it's going to be slightly involved. Right. So we kind of glossed over my super duper bouquet aggregator e-commerce website. I said, oh, this is my website, and directly jumped onto orders, processing, and notifications. But what I said at the beginning of this call that there are going to be millions of bouquets, right? How am I going to find the one that I really want? I am very choosy, okay? I like specific type of flowers, and I like for each individual period of time to send a particular colors of flowers, and I want to keep my budget into consideration. So this is what everybody does. They go into Amazon, and there is a wide variety of filtering options available for you, and you use that to nail down what you actually want. Similarly, in this scenario also, you have bouquets of various cost, and there is also filtering options available so that I can say, I want that bouquet which contains lily and rose, but both of them need to be white. So just white lily and rose. Okay. So how do I make sure that the results that are coming back comes back to me faster, right? With the millions of bouquets that are there, how can I ensure that when I choose one or more of the filters, that I get the results back quickly so that I don't get bored and leave it? Any ideas? Go for it. Again, no wrong answers. What would you do? Come on, guys. You have all worked with databases. There must be some information that you have thought of. Indexing is a good option. What will you index? Right. Okay. All right. Everybody is deep in thought, and I would like to think that you are all eager to hear what I want to say. Right. Okay. So we have all worked with traditional databases like SQL Server or Oracle, MySQL. Some of us may also have worked with NoSQL databases like Mongo, etc. Okay. Now I'm going to introduce another type of cloud-based database concept to you. Okay, it's called the Azure Table Storage, right? I'm going to zoom in on that a little bit. Right. So what is the difference in Azure Table Storage is that this is again a NoSQL database, which means that you can store anything in it. It doesn't have to follow a particular schema. But the only main important thing there is something called as the row key, and another key, the thing called as the partition key. Okay, a row key, you can think of it as being similar to your primary key or ID. Okay, and the partition key, and for people who are coming from other distributed, SQL based databases will know, is the ability to partition your data differently depending on um, uh, your criteria. Okay, all right. So if you take that into consideration, we spoke about a couple of things. Okay, we had the cost here. Okay, and we have the type of flowers, and we had the color of flowers. So we can choose to partition differently. This needs a little bit of thought here. Okay, in your business, if most of the time people are saying, I know exactly what is my budget for this bouquet, right? And everything else is secondary, but I will first, as soon as I go in, will say, I want any bouquet that is less than 500 rupees. Okay, or I want it's a special occasion, I want any bouquet between 500 and 1000 rupees. Okay, or you have made your better half really really mad and you want to go extravagant, you go in for 1000 to 2000. Okay, so if your business, you have identified that this is where people start to filter, then you can choose to partition your data by that. Okay, or if you say that previously I have gotten a bouquet from this seller and I really like this seller, that person makes really nice looking bouquet with a lot of add-ins and customizations, then and the minute I go in, I want to see only all the bouquets available from that seller, then I can partition by that seller. So that is what we are doing here. So the same bouquet information with all the details are now partitioned, one by cost and the other by seller, right? So now I have identified my partitioning mechanism. What is the next step? I have other filters as well, right? Now comes the row key concept of this table storage. Okay, I have the same bouquet details. A particular bouquet, let's say, has both lilies and roses. I repeat the same details, store the same details back again, one by type underscore lily, and I have the same bouquet information, and another by type underscore rose, and I have the same bouquet information. Okay, or if I say the same details can be repeated again by colors. So essentially, if I have my lily as white, then the same bouquet details I have color underscore white, and I add that information in. Okay, what I have essentially done is duplicated the same data multiple times across the same table in different partitions, right? So this coming from a SQL scenario is a big no-no. Everybody will be like, oh my God, you're duplicating your data. What happened to normalization? Those all in this scenario is irrelevant. This, when you are trying to model data for a table storage, you have to completely forget about the normalization, and you have to think speed is the main consideration here. How soon can you get the data out? How much can I duplicate the data so that I can get this data out? Arun, again, you have said that, is it like Redis? No. Redis is a caching mechanism, okay, where you cache the details and then you get the details back, okay. But here we may or may not cache, and that is also a good point. I'll loop back to that. Here we are duplicating the data in the same database. Your table storage, also table storage is a database essentially, and you have tables there, and I have the bouquet table multiple times in different partition, and under the same bouquet table I repeat the same bouquet information by different row key. What happens is, if I choose lily, and if my bouquet has both lily and rose, I will have two entries in the table, one for lily and one for rose. Okay, and if the same bouquet is white in color, then I will have one for lily, one for rose, and one for white, right? So the same bouquet information in this scenario is saved 3 times. Does that make sense? I'm going to introduce something even more complicated when I go down to next application. So if you have any question, you should try and ask now. Is it in memory? No, this is not in memory, but I see where you're going with this question, Arun. There has been tests conducted by various different websites, and when I was reading up about this, there was this site called Have I Been Pawned? Okay, it basically tells you if I put my email address, it tells me whether my email address has been compromised or not. Okay, it stores 150 million email addresses, and they have partitioned it in whatever way. Okay, and the first time when they run the query using Azure table storage, it returned back 150 million email. It returned back data in 42 milliseconds. And the second time they run this same query, it returned back in 4 milliseconds. So internally, table storage does cache the queries that are coming, especially if there are repeated queries. It does cache, but it is not in memory. It is it internally caches. You don't have control over it. All you have control over is how you model the data so that you can get the most out of it. Does that make sense? Did that effectively answer your question? Okay, I take that as a yes. We still have only 10 more minutes, and I'm going to just go to the next one as well, because it's quite complicated as well. You don't expect people to just say filter either by flower type or by flower color, right? When there are multiple filter options available to you, you expect them to choose all of them. You expect them to filter by all of them most of the time. So if I choose both the flower type and the flower color, this will mean that I have to put an and condition. That is, if I put a row key of type underscore lily and row key of color underscore white, and I want white lily bouquet, then I have to put in an and condition, which will mean that it results in two rows being matched, right? So instead, what I would do is I would duplicate it once again. Okay, I would duplicate it once again with a composite row key called type underscore lily plus color underscore white. Okay, and if my bouquet has both lily and rose, I again will have multiple ones: type underscore lily, color underscore white, type underscore rose, color underscore white, and both of them will be stored so that based on what you choose, it immediately matches it. The thing about the row key is, if it exactly matches, then it yields the best result with table storage. Okay, if you are doing a partial match, then it does do a table scan, which depending on the size of data that you store may reduce your performance.